Welcome to the practical session one of the lesson one tutorial. I've uploaded lesson one tutorial which talks about some of the theoretical concepts that you need to know concerning web development. So here in this class, we're going to look at the installations and module structure, right? So in practical session 1B, we are going to look at how we can be able to write functions in Python because we all know that function is a block of reusable code that allows you or a developer to perform a specific task, right? So we're going to learn the functions for those that haven't get their hands on using Python, right? Don't worry, right? So I'm ready. I'm here to teach you guys how to use it appropriately well. Remember, in another course, I'm already teaching you guys Python. Please take this very seriously. Okay. So the goal of this lesson is to aid every student successfully start working on their web application, right? On the web application short project, because we'll be picking a short project for this course because of the time frame of this semester. So we'll be building the course group students, the course group student management system for software engineering students using the Flask framework, right? So these are the tools we need. So we need Visual Studio IDE, Visual Studio Code IDE, like we said in the last class. So not that we can't use any IDE, but just to be in uniformity. So we're gonna use the Visual Studio IDE because it's a cross-platform and it can run on any OS, right? On any OS. So we need the Python programming language, right? Installed on our system. Then we need the flags, which I will show you guys here on this video on how to do that. Then we need the relational database management system. It can be anyone, but I noticed that you guys already use to the MySQL database, right? MySQL database. So well, these are the tools we need here: the Visual Studio Code IDE, the Python, and then the Flask. Okay. So let's get started. Now, if you don't have Visual Studio ID, all you just need to do, right, is to go to your browser here, right? So you can type download Visual Studio Code and it takes you to this place here. So Visual Studio Code. So remember, don't click the first one, right? So click the second one. You can see we have Visual Studio Code for Mac, Linux, and Windows. For Mac, Linux, and Windows, you can see this here. Okay, you can see the windows since I'm using this window 11 home edition, so I can just click on this. We already have it. So once you click on this, it downloads automatically. So if you're using Mac, you click on this. So if you're using Ubuntu, you can click on Ubuntu and then follow up the instructions to install that. But since I'm using Windows, I'll just stick to Windows. But now that you can actually use any operating system, yeah, it's working on this project, right? Because you can actually use any of them because the tools we're using, they're all cross-platform. They can run anywhere, right? Okay. So the same thing applies to Python. If you want to download Python, right? So all you just need to do is write download Python, right? So I Okay, you can go to this first one here, download Python from the Python company, from the Python website. So it's very simple. When you click on it, you just download the latest version. You can see the latest version currently right now is 3.13.0, and it can run on Linux or Unix or Mac OS, Windows, and others. So it runs anywhere, right? So when you click on Python, right? So if I click on this Python now, right, you can see how it is downloading for me there. You can see it here, it's very fast. It's about 26.9 MB, it's very light, right? So it's downloading the latest version for me. So let me just install this. The internet is a bit slow. Um, okay, I think it's done. So when you download this Python 3.13.0, all you need to do is to just run the installation, right? So I think it's done. Let me just show you guys how to do that. So I open my folder here. Okay, you can see. Okay, let me just close this so you guys see it. Make sure I want to cancel. Let me cancel. Let me cancel. Yes. I think I clicked this 3 times. Oh, cancel. almost 4 times. Okay, so let me just open the folder. You can see it on my download here. So I'll double click this. Now remember, I won't install it because I already have it. But remember, when installing this, remember to check this part by default. Check this and check this by default. So you can see the second one said add python.exe to part. Now if you fail to check this, then you have to manually do this right on your operating system. If not, the Python you can actually run Python, so you have to check this part, right? So it's better you check it from doing installation, right? Then install now. When you click on this and start installing, right? That's all. Okay, so let me cancel this. So now I've shown you guys how to actually download the Visual Studio Code if you don't have it, then how to download the Python. So let's get started with flags. Let's get started with how we can download flags, right? And I'll show you guys how we can download the any relational database that you want to use, right? But this is a 20 level class, but we will not be going into details about for this, right? We're going to basically use this, right? So just we're not going to like teach this to the core, right? But I'm just going to show you guys this, right? How these things works. Okay. So let's what I will do now, let's assume that we want to start our application. But before we start, let's go to the next slide. Now, you need guys need to understand a module. Now, what is a module? Right? I always say module. So what is a module? So a module refers to a Python file, like a module in Python. Module can be in any programming language. So what is a module in Python, right? So a module refers to a Python file, you can say it's a file, right, that contains related code which can be imported and used in other parts of the Flask application or any framework application. Let me just remove this of the web application, right? In a broader sense, right, since we are using Flask, I put the Flask here. In a broader sense, Flask module help organize code into reusable and maintaining components, especially for larger applications. Now, the reason why I'm teaching you guys this thing is not just to build a simple application here in this class, but also to be able to build an advanced large applications, right, using the same framework. Okay. So now we will build in this student management, student course group management system, and these are the modules, right? And each of the modules contain what we call the functional requirements, right? So each of the modules, there's one thing about web application. Now, if I build a module that have the insert operation, the insert functionality for faculty, there is the insert functionality means you are adding records. You are saving faculty records down to the database, right? So update the faculty, delete the faculty, and delete all faculty, right? So now each of these modules will have same functionality. So the department module have the same functionality. The program module has same functionality. Level module has same functionality, and each of these ones here, right? So that makes the web application easy. If you can achieve this one, right? You just like you're copying the same thing and replicating it in all modules here to make it work fast. All you just need to do is just to change your object name, right? So faculty is an object, department is an object, program is an object, and so on and so forth. So it makes your work easy. So if you can achieve this first one, right, you can actually achieve this in just a day, right? Because you have achieved this, is just copy and paste, and that's all, right? So you guys understand what module is, and you guys have seen the how what we're going to achieve here in this course. So now let's get started. Remember, I have Visual Studio and I have Python on this system, right? And if you don't have it, I'll show you guys how to install it. So all I just need to do here, right, which is your task for lesson one. Now, this is your task for lesson one, right? Lesson one, which I will do the second video to complete the task for lesson one, right? So now you go to your local disk here. So let me go to my local disk, it's only my C drive, right? On my Windows operating system on my C drive here. So let me create a new folder. I will call this new folder. I'll call this new folder. Let me call it software engineering web application class. application class, right? Software engineering web application class. That's what I called it. You can call it just anyone, any name, right? So I've created my folder. The next thing to do here, let me just close this Visual Studio. See, I'm starting from the scratch, right? So I have my Visual Studio code. So all I just need to do is to go here and just type Visual Studio code and it comes out here. So I will open this. Now I've opened it. Don't worry about this one that is coming up by default, right? Don't just worry about this. Because I've already started writing something here. So now you have opened the Visual Studio. Normally it's supposed to give you empty, right? Empty script. So I will just, all I just need to do here is to click on the file here, right? Then click on open folder, right? So I'll go to my C drive. So I will find that folder which we have created. You can see the folder here, which is software engineering web applications. So I'll click on it, then I'll click select folder. So it shows me the folder. So everything we're going to do on this application is here. Is we're going to do it here, right? So you can see it is empty, right? So this lesson we're not going to write code. We're going to be able to we will structure our modules where we want it, right? So as I'm structuring the module, I will explain. Remember, the Flask framework is made up of the model view templates, which I will explain here, right? So now what I will do next is you can see new file here, right? You can see what I did. I will click on new file here. Then I will have my Python default script, which will be responsible for running the entire application, which I will call the app.py. Right, I'm not writing anything yet, right? App.py, right? So now the next thing we need to do here is to create a virtual environment, right? Now a virtual environment in Flask allows us to internally install all the tools we need for this particular application here, right? You can see this folder, all the application will be in this particular folder here. For this particular application, in order not for some of the libraries to affect our internal files. So everything we'll be doing, all the installations we'll be doing will be inside this application here. So we need to create a virtual environment that will hold it and that will hold all the libraries we use for this application. So to create a virtual environment here, all we just need to do is to go to the terminal here. I'll click on new terminal, right? So you can see when I click on new terminal, you can see that it's actually pointing to my folder. You can see the C drive slash software engineering web application, right? So now to create a virtual environment in Python, we just need to write py, right? Py dash m, right? So a short form of virtual environment is VENV, which is called virtual environment, right? Then the name of your virtual environment, right? So let's use a default name, right? So let's use the default. We can call it env. You can call yours any name. You can call it group. You can call your name, right? But just to be uniform, let's just use this env. So this env is the name of our virtual environment. So when I click on this, right? So you can see here on our folder that it has created a virtual environment for us here. You can see env. Now the next thing to do here is to activate our virtual environment, because if we don't fail to activate it, even if we're installing it, it's taking it direct to the C drive, right? It's taking the libraries right to the C drive. So we need to activate our virtual environment so that we can be able to install the Flask framework inside our virtual environment. So now to activate it in Windows is env, right? Slash capital letter scripts slash activate. Let's look at it. You can see env, which is the env here. Then slash, you can see the scripts, which is the scripts here. So if I open this folder, you can see activate. So I will click on, I will type activate, right? I'll click on this. So you can see it has changed. Now this part is now looking at the virtual environment, right? So anything I'm doing now will be installed inside this virtual environment. So the next thing to do is to install Flask, right? So to install Flask, we have what we call pip install, called Flask, right? Pip install Flask, very light, so it's no more than 15 MB to say. You can see it has successfully installed, right? You can see how easy it is. It has successfully installed Flask, so start working. So I've shown you guys how to install Flask, right? So but in the next video I'll show you how to run that. Remember, we are starting this class with HTML, right? But I just we need you guys to set up the framework we'll be using. Remember, I said we will not be using Bootstrap, right? Because this is a 200 level class, you need to understand basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to get you started, right? So we have installed our virtual environment. The next thing I will need to do here is to create a folder that will hold all our modules, right? The reason why I'm doing this, I'm showing you guys so that your code can be easily read by other developers, right? So now I will create a folder. You can see this one is to create new folder, right? This is to create new file, right? This is to create new folder. So I will click on this and call it app, right? I've created a new folder. Now all our modules will be inside this new folder, right? So now let's follow the model view template, right? Let's follow the model view template. Now, if you check our PowerPoint slide here, you can see the modules that we have. So what I want to do here, I want to make each of these modules a folder because each of these modules we have their structure, we have their own model, their own view, and their own template in order to allow us to easily know which functions belong to a particular module and which function belong to a particular module. Now, if you check so many videos online, what they do is that most of them write all functions in the applet which I'm not going to do here because it makes your code unreadable, especially when you're writing code for large applications, right? So if every module take charge of their functionality, it makes it readable. So when I open this folder, I can be able to see the functions that controls this faculty object, right? That's what we're going to do here in this class. Okay, so now let's create our folder. So the first folder I'm going to create here is our faculty folder, right? Remember, the course scope is to create student course group management system. So I'm going to create a faculty folder here. So this a folder called faculty, right? Created one, right? So the next one is the department, right? So I'll click on this and create department folder. You can see that, done that. So the next one we're going to do here is the program level course. So let's create program level course. Let's create program level course. So I will create program. Let's be fast. I will create the course. Okay. Then let's check the other ones. So we have the group, we have the students, right? We have the assigned students, and we have the authentication module. Okay. So let me have the group. We have the student. We have the assigned what do we call it, the assigned group student. We have the assigned students, which we need to assign students to group. We have the assigned students. Please remember no spacing, right? So assign students, and then the last one is authentication. I will explain this once. Okay. Now on the next video, the other lessons, I'm going to explain how these guys will be related, how these modules are related, right? Even if you have not started learning database management system, but with the concept, the way I will teach you guys here, you can easily get it. It's very, very simple, right? It's very simple. So you can see that this is the faculty module. We need it, right? We need a department module because we all know that every department belongs to a particular faculty. Like we all now are in the faculty of computing. I mean, faculty, right? And you guys are in the department of software engineering. And software engineering belongs to the faculty of computing. So that's why we need this because of the relation. I will explain the relation as we move on in this class, right? This class lessons, right? But not in this video. So now we need the program, right? So let me explain the program. You guys are in Department of Software Engineering, but you guys are Bachelor of Science of Software Engineering, right? So now this program will keep record of all the programs in the institution. But here, since the scope of this class is just Bachelor in Software Engineering, Bachelor, what we just need to do is just to say Bachelor of Software Engineering here. So Bachelor of Software Engineering belongs to a department called Software Engineering Department. And Software Engineering Department belongs to a faculty called Faculty of Computing. You can see how they're related. That's why we need the faculty, we need the department, and we need the program, right? So now when it comes to course, right? When it comes to course, despite there are other, this is not a large application. If it's a large application, the way we will structure this model will be different, right? But since it's just for class applications, for just these class lessons, what we're going to do here, we're just going to create our course that we'll be doing here in this class here, right? Which that course belongs to a particular program, which is Bachelor of Science Software Engineering. You can see how it is related, right? So now for the students, right? So every student here belongs to the Department of Software Engineering, right? So and you guys are all doing this the courses that will be stored here, right? So now the level, what is the level module? Okay, I've not added the level module. Let me just add this level. Okay, now the level we monitor the student levels because there may be some students in the class that are in 300 level, but definitely this course is a 20 level course. But this level is just to monitor the students, right, where they belong to, right? So now this students module will keep record of all the students in this class, right? We keep record of all the students in this class. Then the level is we keep track of the student because level will be created single-handedly, and this level will be related. Will be there will be a relation between student and level in order to monitor the level the student belongs to. Now the assigned students. Now this model will take charge. Will monitor all the students in a particular group. Remember, we have a module called groups. Now, the group will be created here. It can be 10, it can be 20 groups, it can be 40 groups, it can be 50 groups, right? So now each of these groups will be assigned to a particular student. So this assigned module here will be in charge to monitor where the group the student belongs to. So that is all just what we're going to do here in this video. You can see how simple and how they're related, right? So now we have created each of these modules. Now let's follow the template. So each of these modules will have the model view template, right? The model view template. So now let's start with the assign model because it comes first. So you can see I've clicked on it, right? You can see when you click on it like this, right? So you create another folder. You can see you create another folder called templates. Remember, it's case sensitive. It has to be lowercase templates, right? Templates. So done that. So are we now, this template file will contain all our HTML files for these assigned students, which we're going to learn in the next two videos, right? In the next two videos. So I'm going to do this for all of them. I'm going to do this for all of them. I'm going to create templates files for all of them here. Templates. So I will have templates. I will have my templates. So I have my templates here. I have my templates for group. So I have my templates for level. I have my templates for program. I have my templates for students. Okay, so you can see how I've structured this. Now it hasn't done yet because remember this lesson is just to structure the modules, the next lesson to get started, right? So I will have what we call our init, which is double underscore, like you see 1 and 2. I will explain this in next video what it's for. I'll just tell you guys the theoretical aspect of this. So you can see I did is two double dots on the first hand side and two double underscore, two underscore twice on the right hand side, and dot py is a Python script. So each of these modules we have this. Now these will be used to set up our blueprints. Remember in our the videos I sent, I told you guys what blueprint is. Blueprint is all about structuring our modules, interlinking them, organizing these modules in order to be able to ease us to create large applications, right? So our each of these modules will be the blueprints will be assigned here in this init.py, which I will explain this in the py more in detail in the next two videos when we start designing our stuff, right? So I will do this for all the folders here. So you can click on new file, right? So double underscore, like I say 1 and 2, then init 1 2, right? Dot py. So I'll do this for all of them. Let me close this. I've done it for assigned students. I've done it for authentication. So I will click on course now. You can decide to right click, you see new file, or you just click this. So 1 2 1 2 dot py. Right, so I'll close this. I'm done with the course. So face departments, do this one, two, init, one, two, dot py. Right, so I'll close this. So I'll do for faculty one, two, init, one, two, dot py. So I've done for faculty. So I'll do for group one, two, init, one, two, dot py. Right, I've done for group. So I'll do for level one, two, init, one, two, dot py. Okay, so I will do for programs one, two, init, one, two, the pi. Okay, then I will do for students one, two, init, one, two, the pi. Okay, so I'm done with the init. Remember, I said the init will be used to define where that's where we define our blueprints for each of these modules here. So now I'm done. You can see the template file with all the HTML files, which is what the user will see, which is the front end interface, which we have explained in last next class. So now the next thing we'll do, we have this is the template, right? We haven't done the view and we haven't done the models, right? So we need the view and the model, right? We need view and the model. So each of these folder will have a view and a model. So we can call it models.py, like the assigned students we have the models.py, which is a script, right? Models.py. You can see the Python icon, right? Models.py. So I'll do that for all of them here. I'll create a script for authentication. Now, authentication don't need models of pi because authentication is is the module that will be responsible for logging in students, like when you put in your username and your password, right? But the students already have the models, right? So definitely the authentication is using the student model. So we're not going to put the models of pi in the authentication here, but this will be the last thing we'll do. Complete this model at the end. We'll now do the authentication. So let me for course we have the models to buy. Okay, so for department we have the models to buy. Oh, sorry. So let me close this. Right, I've done for faculty, we've done for vocation, so we've done for course. So for department, we click on this and click on new file and call it models.py. Right, so I'll close this. So for faculty, we have the models.py. Right, so I'll close this, I'll open the group, then click on new file. We have the models.py. So I'll close this, I'll create a level. We have the models.py. So I'll close this, I'll click on program. We have the models.py. So I'll close the program and click on students. We have the models.py. So we have the model now, we have the template. Now remaining the view, right? Remaining the view. Now the view can be any name. It's model, it must be like views.model.py, right? It can be any. Despite in the models too, it doesn't need to be model, but just that we need to do this so that we can be able to understand it because we're following the template pattern of the Flask framework, right? The architecture pattern of the Flask framework. So, but let's call it views on the pi, right? For each modules, right? So I'm going to call these views the pi. So I'm in the student module now, so I'll call these views the pi, right? So I will do the same. I will do for the authentication this time because authentication needs the views. Because that's why we're going to write all our functionality for the login, right? Login, maybe sign up and so on and so forth. So this one here, the authentication module, we have the views the pi. Then the course, we have the views dot py. Then the department, we have the views dot py. Then faculty, we have the views dot py. Then group, we have the views dot py. Then level, we have the views dot py. Then program, we have the views dot py. Then student, fine, we have the views dot py. Okay, now we are done with, we have the model now, we have the views and we have the template, model view template, right? So this will contain our objects of application. So the views will contain our functional logical requirements for each of these modules, and the template file will contain the HTML files that the user sees, right? So this view is just like a middleman, right? Just like middleman, because this view is the main part that performs all the functions, right? So and then sends the request. It queries these models, right, based on the user's functional, um, based on the user's tags, and then collects that request and then send it as a response down to this template file where the user sees, depending on what the user is trying to do. So that is what the view, that's how the view works. So now we're done with everything here. We're supposed to have another one called forms, but that will be later in this class. We're not going to add it here in our first video. All right. So now we have done this, we have the app.py that will run the entire application. So we need to have, you can see we have modules here. So we need to have a general init.py inside this app folder. So you can see I close everything here. I close the app folder. So I will create another file called the init.py. So this init.py will contain the configuration of our entire application, right? Configuration ranging from our database configuration. Another configuration we'll be doing here, we stored in here, right? So we are done with this. I hope you understand the first video. So this is a task for the first. So your task one, right? Your task one is to do this for each group, and I want to see at least 3 students in each group to do this, and then I will show you guys what next to do to complete the lesson one assessment. Thank you and God bless you. Jesus, I did.